All right, today is October 11th. This is the second episode ever of the Tailgate, a product of Tailgate TV, of course, a product of Tailgate Sports, brought to you by TruEnergy, your new favorite energy supplement drink. We don't have any samples just yet. They're in the mail coming towards us, but when they do come, I'm going to do a live reaction of me drinking one on camera to show how dope they are, to show how much energy I have during the whole show. TruEnergy is the future of the future of energy drink supplements. We're going to have some on our site for sure. We're definitely going to have, there definitely are some on drinktruenergy.com as well. But if you go to tailgatesportsentertainment.com, we definitely have links where you can buy some for yourself as well there. I definitely suggest getting some. And after I try them myself, I'll let you know how amazing they are for sure. But anyway, the Tailgate. Dominic, it's good to see you. We had to take 2 weeks off because I was on vacation. Yeah. My bad. I'm wearing a Duke football shirt right now currently because 2 weeks ago they were, ranked with Kentucky for the first time in I think a few years. They're always ranked, both of them are always ranked for basketball. They're never always ranked for football. So I thought it'd be cool to support Duke football. They're doing decent right now. They have one bad-ish loss, but they're still decent. So I thought I'd at least support that for sure. Anything from you, Dominic?
I don't know. A lot to take in on the 2 weeks we weren't here.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of changes. Happened.
Yes, I mean, Stanford was, I think, 7 last time we did this show, and now they're unranked. So, I mean, a lot has changed for sure. I thought Notre Dame was the most, I think I said in the last show, most overrated team in college football, and I was very, very wrong about that.
Well, I agreed with you, but I also said unless they somehow get a quarterback change, which they did, and now.
That's true, yeah.
They're very good with Ian Book.
Yeah, they are a very good team for sure. They are confirmed good, and obviously now they're a contender for the playoffs for sure. But speaking of contenders, Dominic, let's talk about...
I just want to say one thing before we get into contenders and pretenders.
Okay.
Texas is back and Florida is back. I thought for years we may never see them to the same capacity. Maybe one would be back. Maybe both would be back. I wasn't expecting them to both come back in the same week. They're both back.
That's true. I mean, Texas was kind of on the border of being back until obviously the Red River Showdown. But I'm surprised at Florida because the SEC is so good this year.
Florida's defense is good.
Well, it's not just that. It's the fact that the SEC is so good where there's only 3 teams that are kind of terrible: Vanderbilt, Arkansas, and Tennessee. But Tennessee actually has some good parts of their offense.
Yeah.
It's same with obviously Ole Miss is at the 4th worst team in the SEC, but obviously they have the best wide receiver core. So technically, there's only 2 bad teams in the SEC. So I'm shocked that Florida is back in the hardest year to be back for an SEC team, but they are back. I mean, they're obviously not 2008 back, but they're on the way to being back, and they're much more back than Florida State is. So. Yeah, that's my whole opinion on that. But again, speaking of contenders, we're going to do a segment called One Contender, One Pretender. I'm actually going to do 2 for each because I just don't know rules. But Dominic's going to do One Contender, One Pretender. And basically, Dominic, you can describe the whole rules, I guess, or how we're going to do this whole segment because you thought of it. So
I wouldn't say rules, but for the contender portion, we're just going to talk about a team that we think can make the playoffs. But we're not going to focus on Ohio State or Alabama, who's most definitely probably going to make the playoffs. I want to hear from you first. Who do you think's a contender?
So like I said, I don't know rules, so I have 2 for each. Right. So basically, I have 1 contender. Oh, the first contender I'm going to do is Michigan. So before, obviously when the season started, everyone wants to bash on Michigan. Everyone wants to bash on Jim Harbaugh. So it definitely was a trend to be like, oh, they were 0-1, they're done. But since then, they've won out. And their only loss was to Notre Dame, and Notre Dame is obviously one of the best teams in the nation. They didn't have their current quarterback at that time, but again, it's pretty much the same team, just a different quarterback at the helm right now. And plus, obviously, with Notre Dame getting better, that loss looks better and better for Michigan. So Michigan right now is, I think, 12th in the nation, almost positive. 12th or, I think, 13th. They're around there, obviously. They're in the top 15 for sure, because Wisconsin's 15, they're higher than them. But Michigan's looking better and better every single week. If they do beat Wisconsin this week, they'll be top 10 for sure. And they're getting closer and closer to win the Big Ten. I can see them making a very good game against Ohio State. Jim Harbaugh has never once beaten Ohio State. And that's definitely a huge red flag on his kind of resume. If he does beat them this year, obviously I would definitely say that they're going to get into the playoff. But if they still lose to Ohio State, you maybe could possibly, unless Ohio State wins the Big Ten, you could possibly find a way to get them in there. I think that Michigan right now is trending in a positive way to get into the playoff. And they are definitely a contender for sure. I know you're going to clap back for something against Michigan, but I think that right now they're doing everything right to get themselves in position. If they win against Wisconsin, if they beat Ohio State, no question of mind, they should definitely be in the playoff. The other contender I have is Washington. Right now, there's only 3 teams in the Pac-12 left that have a chance to make it into the playoff. Obviously, your Ducks, with Oregon.
Yeah.
I mean, they have that bad loss now to Stanford. At the time, Stanford was really good, but now Stanford's playing terrible. I mean, they got blown up by Utah, who in Utah can't even throw the ball. They can only run the ball. So it's a bad loss for Oregon to have them lose to Stanford. But if Oregon wins out, if Oregon, beats Washington, stuff like that, and keeps on this positive trend, wins the Pac-12, they could get in that way. Obviously, Colorado is the only undefeated team in the Pac-12. If they win out, then obviously they would probably have to get in. If they beat Washington, if they beat either Washington or Oregon for the Pac-12 championship, you have to make a strong argument as like this is the only team that's never lost a game in the Pac-12. They might get a chance to get in. And then obviously Washington's the last team.
They had some tough teams to play.
I know, yeah, they had some tough teams in New Hampshire and Oregon State in a few weeks. So it definitely is a hard schedule for sure. But obviously Washington has one loss to Auburn, and Auburn is still a ranked team. They definitely have not some great losses. They did lose to LSU, but that's going to look good on their resume. But again, that's their only loss. If they do beat Oregon this week, if they do beat Colorado next week, then
Auburn lost to Mississippi State last week.
No, I was talking about how like good losses on.
Oh,
Auburn's,
okay. Just making sure.
Yeah, because I'd say like Auburn. If you're comparing Auburn's schedule to see if it's a good loss for Washington, Auburn does have good losses, so they're not a bad team. They just have a very hard schedule, so it kind of helps justify Washington getting in there. But if Washington can beat Oregon and Colorado, the next two best teams, the Pac-12 behind them, and back-to-back weeks, that looks very good for the resume. If they win the Pac-12 championship, that alone, having just one loss and beating the best teams in your conference, could definitely get them in to the college football playoff, because they do play Stanford too. So being Stanford, the former best team in the Pac-12, Oregon and Colorado, that should definitely give them a spot for sure. So that's my other contender. I mean, again, with Michigan and Washington, they have a huge mountain left to climb, but they are trending in a positive way that they could definitely get there for sure. So I'll hear your contenders next.
Well, I'm only really gonna. I'm gonna do two actually. You know, I'm gonna break my own rules. I'm gonna break my own rules.
Okay.
My first team, Notre Dame. Since they got their running back going, Williams, he's been amazing. He's been opening up lanes for them. He's opening up the passing game. But I think what changed them, they always had a good defense. It showed against Michigan when they only let up 14 points. But what really changed this team was that quarterback change. Ian Book has been playing phenomenal. I don't see why you would ever go back to Wimbush because Book has been lighting it up in the running game and passing game. I see them as a contender. They've played most of their hard games. They beat Virginia Tech last week, even though they've had an up-and-down season. They beat Michigan week 1. They've had a pretty tough schedule. They still have some tough games to play, so you never know what happens. But I think they can win out. They go 12-0, they're in.
Bold hot take, taking Notre Dame as your contender, Dominic. Like, whoa. Didn't see that one coming at all.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Huge,
but then this is,
out of nowhere take for contender. Just the fifth best team, undefeated team. Oh, they're a contender to get in. Wow. Great stuff. Okay, who's your second one then?
You want a hot take? This is my second team, UCF.
That's a dumb pick.
Yeah.
Let's hear your like half-assed.
I think what they have to do this week is many people think they'll lose to Memphis. Memphis also lost to Georgia State, who's terrible. Memphis's team is up and down every week. UCF has one of the best quarterbacks in the nation.
Where do I hear that from?
Well,
kind of my take,
their whole team overall is elite. I'm calling it. They're elite.
How can you be elite when you play like Tulane and like Temple for your football teams? Right. Okay, like you bash Colorado for having a terrible schedule. You bash Colorado for having a terrible schedule, and you hype up UCF, who plays arguably the easiest schedule in all of college football.
Their whole team is rounded well. They have a tougher schedule than Colorado.
You play terrible schools like Temple and like Tulsa.
Oh.
Name one person on Tulsa football.
Temple's amazing. Are you kidding me?
Temple's not amazing. They're so good. How come I can't name one player on their team right now?
I couldn't.
Exactly. It's like you can look amazing and be the 10th best team in the nation when you play garbage ass teams in the AAC or whatever conference they're in now. It's the easiest schedule. Like there's a reason why they haven't lost a game in like a year and a half because they don't have a real schedule. Like the only team that gets more of like a pushover schedule is Alabama. So like I don't want to hear it.
All right. You don't think they're one of the most well-rounded teams? Their defense is amazing. Their offense is amazing.
They're not one of the most well-rounded teams.
Will lead them to the playoffs.
Okay, all right.
If not, they're going to be top 6.
if they get into the playoff, like last year they would have done well, but if they get into the playoff this year, they're getting smacked around by Bama
No,
or
they're
Ohio
winning it
State. Whoever
all.
is the number one seed is just gonna
I'm
like
sorry.
basically like
Who
Ohio
actually
State
won
versus
it
Oregon
last
State
year?
was
Who
gonna be
actually
that
won the national
exact
championship?
same result of like
It was
77 to like
UCF,
9.
not Bama.
What?
UCF won the national championship last year, not Bama.
They
I don't know what
both
you're
claimed
talking.
it. They
What game
both
did you
claimed it.
watch?
I'm pretty sure if you check, they both have claimed it. So kind of like how like Army and Oklahoma State both own like the 55, 53 championship, whatever, whichever one it was. Kind of like how Colorado and Georgia Tech both own 1990.
Yeah.
So
You
we
like to bring up
co-claimed
that
it.
you have a championship. Oh, it's only
And yet
half.
you don't. You don't. 7,000 jerseys, 0 championships. But anyway,
Oh,
pretenders. Two pretenders I have. First one, I'm sorry, Brett, my brother who goes to Clemson University. They're a pretender. Like, I mean, they do have a hard schedule. They did play Texas A&M, and Texas A&M is a very good team. We can't not recognize the fact that they are a very good team for sure. They're back to top 25 again. But every single game, including their narrow win against Syracuse, I don't care if Syracuse is the team that always gives you a hard time. Like every school has a team that always gives them a hard time for sure. And last year Syracuse did beat them. This year they almost beat them. But to barely get by with wins against A&M and against Syracuse is not a good look for your program. Like I get they were having quarterback issues with now Trevor Lawrence going out with injury and obviously Kelly Bryant transferring, but they're just not looking well-rounded as they were last year. Last year they were at the same level as Georgia and Alabama. This year they're not exactly there yet. They're still winning. They're still playing well, but there's a lot more holes and a lot more vulnerability this year than they did have last year because I could see Clemson easily not making the playoff this year. Even if they do win out, like unless they start winning at the same kind of games or same kind of margin they did against like Furman at the beginning of the year, they would have to make some changes because right now they're not playing like well enough to get into the cultural playoff. Notre Dame would easily get the bid over them. So I see them as a pretender unless things start to change, unless their quarterback situation starts to change.
I'm sorry. Too. I'm going to have to disagree here. If you asked me in week 3, I would have agreed with you. Last week, they won 66-3. Their running back went in, Travis Etienne. And their defense every week is starting to look better and better. Exception of Syracuse, but their offense wasn't doing much, and their defense, obviously, over a while will get tired. So I'm not going to put it all on the defense. Their defense has been looking pretty good. I think their offense will get going more. I think they can make it into the playoffs. I'm not going to say they'll win the championship, but I think they still make it into the playoffs.
True. My other pretender is UCF. I think that there's so many better teams in the top 10. Like I said, Washington has a chance to get in there still. Oregon, Colorado have a chance to get in there. Ohio State has a chance to get in there. Penn State, they kind of really don't. West Virginia does, though. Texas, they could possibly make an argument for. And then Georgia, Alabama. Georgia, I've said this before in this episode already. They're like one of the most, I guess, like, I wouldn't say overrated, but definitely the most disrespected team in the nation. Because right now, I've seen people today put Georgia as the 4th or 5th best team in the nation, even though they're having these amazing blowout wins, even though they are a very well-rounded team, even though Jake Fromm is playing good and stuff like that. They're just getting very disrespected by all analysts across the board, across the nation. So I think that
3, but
I think that Georgia definitely is going to be in the playoff for sure. I think that even though there's hype around other teams, because they're like getting these blowout wins, they're not getting that kind of presence that they should. So I think that Georgia's definitely going to get in for sure. Bama's going to get in for sure. There's not enough room to make an argument for UCF. Even if they go undefeated, again, they're in the AAC. They're not playing real teams. So like UCF, they could appear well in offense, something like that. They could have a very solid defense, but there's too many teams that play better teams and are playing better than them to completely end UCF's season early. So I don't think they're going to be anywhere close to being a playoff team this year. I think they're a pretender for sure. It's all cool for their season tickets to be like, oh, we're 9th or 10th or whatever it is in the nation. Nobody cares, dude. Like, good for you. You're making a non-power 5 team look good.
What is Colorado ranked?
Right now we're 19.
That's right, 19th.
But we haven't lost a single game though. What's losing? I don't know what that feeling is yet.
All right.
You know for sure. I watched you and I saw your face as Stanford beat you. I can't relate. I can't relate.
I also
but
am a Boston
obviously
College
you know what
fan,
that feels like.
It's been a little tough.
What's up?
Boston College has been a little tough on me.
Yeah, both your teams have lost. I can't relate.
Hey, they almost beat NC State last week.
Almost doesn't get you to the playoffs, but okay.
All right, let's hear your.
That was it. Clemson, UCF.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you had another one. All right, I'm only gonna do one pretender, and it's I've been heckling you this whole show, but this isn't just to heckle you even more. I actually believe it. Pretender. I think they're going to win the Pac-12 South, but I think they're going to have to play the North, and they're going to get blown out. I see Colorado as a pretender. Here's why. Here's
They
why.
doubt us. They always doubt us. There's so many doubters every
How
week.
how can
Look,
you
we have like a
not be a
29%
pretender?
chance to win
Your
this week against
schedule, the
USC.
teams you've played so far are a combined 6-21.
You know what?
Not averaging
ASU is a
in
good team.
UNH.
They
I'll give it to you.
we
If you
win
play
and
an
then
FCS
we
school that's
win and then they
undefeated,
just
okay, I'll give
downplay
it to
us.
you.
They're like,
They're
nope, it
one and
doesn't matter.
four.
But we keep
They're
winning
one
though.
and four.
No one wants to see us good. No one wants to see us win. That's the thing. It's like everyone's like, you're gonna lose this week. Like right now, we have like a
If you play
29% chance to beat
Washington,
USC.
I hope you're ready
Watch
for
us
like
win,
a
and everyone's like,
30-point
oh,
blowout.
USC's trash. Like that doesn't count as a good win. No one wants to see us win. Like
What happened the
they'll
last
hype us
time you
down,
made it to
put us
conference
as the
game?
underdogs. We win, and then they
What
like
happened
downplay
last
our
time?
win.
You
What?
lost by 40.
To who? USC?
No, the conference game?
Oh yeah, like 2 years ago. You mean with Cephalufau?
Yeah.
Steve
Washington.
Memphis played one game that whole season. It's like Laviska Shenault was in high school at the time. Okay, I don't want to hear any of this, Dominic. That was a totally different team back then. That was our first time being ranked in like maybe 8 or 9 years or something like that, and then we lost to Washington, the Pac-12 championship.
Your
Oh
coach
no!
is gonna blow
Oh
it.
no!
He stinks.
When was the last time you won the Pac-12? I honestly don't remember. It was like 2013 or something like that. 2012.
I don't like to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I don't want to hear about this.
When was the last time you won the Pac-12?
We never have, but that's on the point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm talking about right now. All right. I get how Colorado definitely doesn't have the most impressive schedule for sure, but we do have solid wins. We do have a wide receiver who is leading the nation right now in yards per game. That's not me exaggerating. That's me saying he is the best wide receiver in yardage per game. Period. End discussion. He is factually the best. So we have the right team for it. We have the right wins for it. Even though everyone downplays our wins, like last week was all like ASU's a real team. You're gonna play a real team this time. We beat them, and everyone's like, "Oh, they're not really a real team. They're a 3-3 team."
3-2.
But they were
That's not a real
ranked
team.
2 weeks ago. They were a top 25 team.
When you play Washington and get blown out by
And then
30,
what? If we
and I
beat
come
them,
back
you'd be
on
like,
this
"Oh,
show,
they're not even
I
a
am
real
bringing
top
this
10
up.
team." Every time we beat a team, everyone downplays it, no matter what. Even if we beat a team like we beat like.
At one point, UCLA was beating you. You almost lost to
It
Nebraska.
doesn't matter if one point they were beating us. We end up winning the game.
Nebraska almost
It
beat you.
doesn't matter
till the
if they
final
had a
minute.
win or not win. If they had a lead in the
Let's
first
see
quarter,
what-
that doesn't matter.
how-
We end up winning
well
the
did they
game.
do in the other
when
games?
time ran out, we had more points than they did. We
Well, they
won.
almost beat what?
That's all that
They
matters.
almost beat Michigan. Not.
What, 2 years ago?
No, this year.
Who?
They almost
UCLA?
beat them. No, they didn't.
Whatever.
Michigan blew out them.
Whatever.
Blew them out.
So UCLA like at one point was like pretty close with Texas. So is Texas not good now because, or no, it was USC that played Texas. My bad. Same thing. Then. All right. So is Texas not good because like USC at one point was close to them in score? Like no, that's stupid. Same thing
All I'm
with.
trying to say is, you can't call them a contender when they're combined.
Okay, I didn't say they were a
The
contender.
combined schedule is
I did not
6-20.
pick Colorado as a contender, but they, like I said, there's 3 teams left in the Pac-12 that have a chance to make the playoff. Washington, obviously, because Washington is the highest ranked team and has the best losses. Oregon, obviously, because Oregon is trending well, and then Colorado.
Washington again.
No, and then Colorado because we're the only undefeated team, and if we continue to win and we don't lose a game, how can you win the Pac-12 championship, not lose a single game, and then not get into the playoff? As an
Because they'll look at your
team.
combined record.
As an undefeated
all
team.
teams you play.
If we play
the combined
Washington
record was
and
like
we beat
7
them,
and
and if we beat them once or maybe
68.
twice in the Pac-12 championship, how can we not then get a bid in?
Because you're terrible. You
Dominic.
play terrible teams.
Oh my god!
You play
We didn't pick our
terrible
division. We didn't pick. It's not our fault that our teams we play suck. Okay, we're not like Alabama picking
kinda
like
is. You kinda
Arkansas State to
schedule it.
play against. What?
You kind of scheduled
We
UNH
scheduled
who's
Nebraska.
1-4.
Nebraska was supposed to be good. They played good against us, and then after that, they played terrible. UNH. I don't know why I picked UNH. It was a terrible pick. Colorado State's our matchup. It's like, all right. Every year Iowa plays Iowa State. Every year Minnesota
Yeah, those teams
plays
are always
Wisconsin.
good.
I'm sorry that Colorado State sucks. What do you want me to do? We played Colorado State every year since like 1860. Since the day Colorado, the state was founded, and the day the 2 universities were set up, they played each other. Back when it was Colorado A&M, back when it was like not even 50 states, like long time ago, we were playing them. We've been playing them every year since then. My bad, they can't win football games. That's not a me problem, that's a they problem, okay? What about Oregon State then? Can I downplay Oregon because you guys always beat Oregon State by like 40 points? Oh, but that's part of my schedule.
We actually beat them by like...
Yeah, exactly. All right, so sorry we're the best team in our state every single year, undisputedly. Anyway, next up is the Heisman debate. So you can go with that one.
What do you want to do? Do you just want to talk about who we think is winning it right now, or do you want to give us the top five?
I'm just gonna do who I think is the sole. I'll do like my sole pick, and then like one person I'm looking at. And that's about it.
All right.
I'm not gonna draw this out until like the top five because
Yeah,
no, it doesn't matter. It's literally just the number one person right now, and then person who might give him like a solid run for the money.
All I'm gonna say is I don't think it's Tua right now.
Okay.
I think it's Dwayne Haskins. He put up almost 500 yards on Indiana last week. He's been playing nearly perfect. He did great against Penn State, led that comeback. He's putting up the stats, and he's been showing why he should be the Heisman. What teams has Alabama played so far to prove that Tua's stats
Texas A&M.
are worthy?
Texas A&M.
Oh, Texas
You're
on
like,
them,
oh.
okay?
You didn't think
Don't
about. You
get
didn't think
me
about through.
started
I'm,
on
all right.
the
I'm about to finish this debate right now. So obviously, to improve himself against real team, Texas A&M, who you did say a few minutes ago they're a real team. So that is at least one real team to prove that they are dope. How many yards does Tua have in the fourth quarter of this season?
Because he hasn't gotten there. Wow, he throws to open receivers every time.
I don't want to
How
hear this. I
hard?
don't want to hear this. Tua has exactly 0 yards in the fourth quarter throughout the entire season. The reason for that is because he's so good at what he does. He dominates the
No, he
first half,
doesn't.
maybe plays the third, maybe
I
plays
could
the
make those
third, and is
throws.
pulled
I
out,
could
and they
make
put in
those
Jalen
throws.
Hurts.
I could make those throws. He's talented.
No, you can't. You're
but I
built
can
like
make
a
them.
twig.
They're wide
There's no
open
way you
down
can throw a
the
ball
field.
more than 30 yards, Dominic.
They're wide open down the field. Have you seen
No,
Haskins'
Dominic,
baskets
I
has
don't
made?
want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. Tua dominates so well in the first half. So well.
Yeah, it's
Like
all
even
him.
against Texas A&M, he played so
all
well. They
him.
pulled him in the third. Even against a ranked Texas A&M team, the team of the future, the Texas A&M team in College Station that played in Tuscaloosa, but still the team that everyone's talking about is like going to be insanely good this year and very, very good next year. He did so well against them, he didn't even play the fourth quarter. That's ridiculous. Clemson almost lost to that same exact team. Tua is so good that he goes off the first half, dominates the game, and by the second half, the game is
Watching
over.
the same games I have, they're wide open every time.
It doesn't matter.
Oh my God, Tua's so
It
talented.
doesn't matter. Dude, Tua just
All I
has
see is him throwing
the
it to wide
vision
open
and the arm
receivers.
strength, and obviously the speed too. He does run the ball as well, and does a very good job of doing that too. Right now, he's
I
dominating
can
the game.
make those throws.
I'm not saying Dwayne Haskins isn't a good
Put
pick
me in a
because obviously
jersey
Dwayne Haskins is good.
on Alabama,
But
I can make those throws.
Tua isn't even doing his full potential yet because he's playing so well in the first half. They're just saving him for the second half. Watch him in the playoffs. Watch him when it gets down to the wire. Watch against like Auburn, et cetera, whatever. Watch
I'll
against
watch when he
LSU.
chokes.
He'll play the full game most likely, or at least
I'll
close
watch when
to it,
Alabama chokes
and he will still
and UCF wins.
destroy out there. I don't even like Alabama. I hate Alabama, but Tua is just undisputably the best player in college football right now.
No, not even close.
I would still even consider Kyler Murray because Kyler Murray did a fantastic job against Texas. It was the defense that lost that game for him, not him.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray's still up there, Dwayne Haskins still up there.
He's my
I would
number
give it to Will
3,
Greer
though.
too. Will Greer has to play better defenses to prove that he should be up there, but he's doing well. Laviska Shenault Jr. of Colorado should be up there too. He's the best wide receiver in the nation right now. I mean, obviously, I forget his first name, but Harry out of ASU, number 1 wide receiver for ASU.
Harry.
I always forget his first name. He's a fantastic wide receiver, but Laviska's better. Laviska had every single touchdown in the Colorado game against ASU last week. Leads the nation yards per game. His combo with Steve Montez is one of the best quarterback wide receiver combos in the nation right now. If it goes wide receiver, goes to a non-quarterback player, it should go to Laviska. But Tua, like I said, only has to play the first half because that's it. It's game over after the first half. He's just that good. So doesn't matter if it's A&M. Doesn't matter if it's Arkansas State.
Ohio
Game's
State,
over.
Alabama. Haskins
The minute
can
they
go
come
head
back,
to head
the
Tua
minute it's
and beat
halftime,
him.
it's game over. There
Give
shouldn't
me
be a
Haskins.
halftime. There shouldn't be a
Give me
halftime. There should
Haskins
just
every
be
time.
you play 2 quarters and that's
me
it.
Haskins.
Ball game. After that, it's just pad the stats for Jalen Hurts or whoever else is still on the field by that point. Just
Give me
play 2 quarters. That's a ball game. Call it a day. Move on to the next game. That's all you need for Alabama. Anyway, let's go into some hot takes. Let's go into some hot takes. It was me trying to sizzle up something on the frying pan. Didn't really work out as well as I thought it would in my head. But yeah, hot takes.
I want to hear one of yours first, so we can yell at each other.
All right, so I'm going to continue to bully UCF this week because that's just how I feel. But UCF has had a crazy run. Has had a fantastic run. They haven't lost a game in a few hundred days. It's been a year and a half. I know someone on Twitter probably knows the exact amount of dates. I think I saw it last week. It's like 400 or whatever, how many days it is.
I couldn't tell you days. I could tell you games, but
yeah, it's they've won like an insane amount of games in a row. They haven't lost since like 2017 or something like that. But that's all going to end this Saturday.
Yeah,
Memphis is going to beat UCF.
no, they're
Everything is,
not.
hey, UConn women's basketball eventually had to lose, okay? The Warriors in 2015 eventually had to lose after winning 27 straight. Kentucky basketball eventually lost. Everyone has to lose. It happens no matter what. I don't care how good you are. I don't care what happens. No one stays at the top forever. UCF is going to lose a game. It's going to happen. It's going to happen this weekend for sure. Memphis gets that win. Memphis is a good enough team. And if they beat UCF, season's over. Congrats on winning whatever AC, whatever that stands for, conference you play in. That's all cool and all, but they're a pretender and they're going to lose this week for sure. That's my hot take.
Memphis is. They got a good running back, but that's about it. You're telling me they can't beat Navy, who literally lost.
It's all about previous weeks. I'm talking about
Hawaii,
this week.
And they
Memphis
lost
wins.
to SMU.
Old Dominion beat Virginia Tech. That means anyone can do anything.
Yeah, Virginia
Anything
Tech.
is possible, is what Kevin Garnett said 8 years ago. That still rings true to this day. Okay?
Yeah,
or maybe it's 10 years ago. My bad. 10 years ago he said that. But still. A decade later, it still rings true, and it's going to happen this weekend with Memphis winning.
Like I said, they're so up and down. They lost to Tulane as well. If they go down, if they start losing early, which I think they will to UCF, they're not going to be able to use their running back. And that's what they rely on most. If they're not able to use them early, they're done. I think UCF wins. I think it could be a close game, but I think UCF wins, and then they go on to beat Alabama. No, I'm joking about that part, but...
All right, okay.
But UCF gets the win.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. Any other hot takes you have at all?
Yeah, I got one.
Let's hear 'em.
I always crap on Chip Kelly. It's not because I hate him for leaving Oregon. I hated him for using Wilton Speight until he got hurt, and then he threw in a freshman quarterback. I like it now. I think they pick up their first win against Cal this week.
I hope they do. I hope they weaken Cal. Because Cal
it's at Cal, so I think it's going to be a tough road test for UCLA. Young quarterback, but I think he can make the adjustments. I think Cal was ranked undefeated. Now they're 3-2. They lost the last couple of weeks to Oregon, and then of course, what was the other team? I'm blanking, but they lost last week as well. I think it'll be a tough game, but I think UCLA pulls out their first win, and I hope they do because I took them in my predictions.
All right,
if they don't, I'm gonna be back on the Chip Kelly hate wagon.
All right, so I have one last hot take to talk about. In the first episode, I mentioned how we could have. Oh, yeah, nice job. Anyway, I mentioned how LSU. I kind of gave away now. I mentioned how the SEC could have 3 teams in the cultural playoff, and obviously LSU is one of the ones that I kind of picked. I think that LSU, not in some way to how Wisconsin was definitely disrespected by the committee, putting them so far down the rankings. I think LSU is really a top 10 team, not a top 12 team. But again, LSU plays Georgia this week, which is one of the most, or in my opinion, the most must-watch game, I should say, for this week. If they do win that game, if they continue to win out, or if they win out and then lose to Georgia again or Alabama in the SEC championship, they could find a way into the cultural playoff. A lot of pieces are falling into place for that right now. The Big 12 is pretty much destroying itself right now with Oklahoma losing to Texas.
West Virginia's still in there, though.
Yeah, West Virginia's still in there, but if West Virginia does lose, then all of a sudden the Big 12 has pretty much been eliminated from the playoff. The Pac-12 right now is on a very thin line to be knocked out as well. Clemson and the ACC, the same thing too, because after Clemson, the only 2 teams that are left are NC State and Miami, and it would be a very, very hard argument to get either one of those teams into the playoffs. So the ACC and Big 12 are both on the verge of getting knocked out. But the Big Ten, Ohio State should get in unless they do lose to Michigan or to a different team or don't win the Big Ten. Then you could have them get knocked out. But right now, I think that it's going to be either Ohio State or Notre Dame. So one of those teams, if they lose a game, they're automatically out of the conversation. You would have to have one of them, obviously, like I said, lose. You have to have the Big 12, have West Virginia to lose or not play as well, and have Clemson lose or at least not play as well either. That would leave either Notre Dame or Ohio State. You have Georgia and Alabama and one spot left. LSU could get in there if they continue to win. So it's still alive. It's definitely not impossible, but it's kind of improbable now. But some pieces are falling into place, like Oklahoma losing to Texas, that are definitely helping the chances of getting there. I'm not going to abandon it yet. I still think that's going to happen. I think that the committee would pick in favor for that because the SEC is so stacked this year that even if LSU does lose, you could be like, all right, well, every team besides Arkansas And Vanderbilt was very good this year in that conference, and every single team, especially LSU, had a hard schedule. LSU probably has the hardest schedule, if not Auburn, maybe. And because of that, even with their loss, you could find a way to put LSU into the college football playoff and argue that there should be 3 teams in there because the conference is so hard, because the schedules were so hard. I think you could definitely have it. You could even have 3 SEC teams and then Notre Dame, where you only have 1 Power 5 conference represented out of all 5 of them. It could happen, and I think that if I was in the committee, I would vote for that because 1, for entertainment value, it'd be kind of crazy, and 2, I do feel bad for the SEC. All those teams are good enough where if the SEC was like it was in years past, one of those teams would be in the top 5 or would have an easy chance getting in. But because the SEC is so stacked this year, a lot of teams have a near impossible way to get in because they are going against such harder competition.
I just want to ask you, this isn't a hot take. I don't want to hear like your analysis of why you think this. What are you, as for right now, what are your 4 playoff teams?
The 4 playoff teams if it was tomorrow?
Yeah.
Or you mean like as if the playoffs started tomorrow, or as if I'm talking about who I think is going to get in eventually?
No, just tomorrow. Who you think?
If it was tomorrow,
yeah.
Georgia and Bama for sure. Because I think that Georgia is the most disrespected team right now. They're playing well enough to be the 2nd seed, and people are giving that kind of respect. I would put Notre Dame in, and I'd probably pick Ohio State. So I would have, because Ohio State's been killing it, and so is Notre Dame. So
I have the same. I got Ohio State, Georgia, because they've been playing.
But I'd have Notre Dame as the 4th seed to be Bama versus
Notre Dame has good enough wins to get in. Same with Ohio State. They had that comeback win versus Penn State. Clemson almost lost to a couple teams. It's hard to put them in right now, but if they go undefeated, I can see it down the road. But right now, I wouldn't put them in.
True. All right, cool. And then, all right, so I think that's it for hot takes. Do you have anything left to say for hot takes at all?
Not really.
All right, cool. And let's move on then to must-watch games, or at least upcoming predictions at least. I'm going to talk about must-watch games for sure.
Yeah.
And I remember there's 3 games that you I guess 4, because I think Memphis is going to beat UCF, but 3 games you definitely cannot miss. We got my chest first, Colorado versus USC. Because
how is that like a must-watch?
If Colorado does win, they continue on their path of possibly winning the Pac-12. But if they do knock out USC, that's the last team, in my opinion, that really has a chance to win the Pac-12 South. Beating USC could really lock down that they're going to be the Pac-12 champion or Pac-12 South champions, and kind of getting closer to see who's going to be the 2 teams playing for the Pac-12 champion. It's going to kind of narrow down who is actually going to play for that title. Right now, we have it down to 3 teams, but if USC wins, USC's back to that conversation. So I think that would.
I would rather watch paint dry than watch that game.
Okay, I'm pretty sure you're going to watch anyway, though. The other team.
What time is it on as? Is it like Pac-12 after dark?
No, it's on FS1, but pretty sure it's at like 10 o'clock or something like that. Which I'll stay up and watch that because I don't have work the next day. So like it's totally fine for me. Yeah, because you don't get like 9 p.m. But anyway, the other game I have on, which is probably after your bedtime, is Oregon versus Washington.
Oh no, wait, no, that's on at like 3:30.
Oh, is it really? Oh, I thought it was another night game.
Yeah, it's on at 3:30. See, I know my stuff.
Oh, anyway, Oregon versus Washington.
Oh.
You know your stuff, to even know when Colorado's playing, but okay. Oregon versus Washington, like we said, this entire show is a must-watch game for sure. It's literally going to define which team has the best chance, or if any chance at all, to make it to the playoff. It's definitely going to decide who the best team in the North is, because right now it's between those 2 teams. So basically, they're playing for the Pac-12 North title pretty much this weekend. So it's a huge game for both teams, a must-win game for both teams, and it's probably the biggest West Coast game you could watch this weekend for sure. So that's definitely a must-watch game. Last, again, I've talked about this a lot, Georgia versus LSU. LSU has to win this week. Georgia has to win too, because in my opinion, I've noticed how Georgia's been disrespected and underhyped by so many analysts. If they lose to LSU, all of a sudden people are going to put them at like 11 or 12th best in the nation. Like Georgia's chances for the playoffs could end this weekend. Same for LSU.
Nah,
so it's must wins for both of them for sure.
Nah, I don't see it.
I can see people I could see Georgia falling to 11 if they don't win.
But I still think that they can make it with 1 loss.
True.
But that also means
they would drop it. They would drop the rankings so much. They would drop more than Stanford did, in my opinion.
I think the Washington-Oregon game might be the game of the week, even more so than. I don't think you mentioned number 15 Wisconsin at number 12 Michigan.
I forgot that. I have Michigan though.
A great game, but I think it's going to come down to who can pass the ball better. Last year, Michigan ranked in the 90s for passing offense. This year, with Shea Patterson, the transfer from Ole Miss, They're in the 20s now for passing. They've been doing a lot better. Their defense is elite as always. Their defense is always elite. It was their offense. They got a good running back. I think Wisconsin's defense isn't going to be able to hold up against that offense. And I think Hornbrook, the quarterback for Wisconsin, isn't going to be able to do enough to. I think it'll be a close game, maybe 7-10 points, but I think Michigan pulls it out.
Yeah, no, I think Michigan's going to pull with it for sure. Wisconsin's.
At Oregon,
what's up?
That's going to be another good game. I think Oregon should have won against Stanford. That's all I'm going to say. They made too many mistakes at the end. They had that pylon error thing.
Yeah.
Where it's a fumble because you hit it, it was in, but they're not going to give it to you. But they fumbled and allowed Stanford to win. They're young players. They're going to learn from it. I think they can learn this week, and I think they'll take the dub. I always ride with Oregon. I'll pick them against anyone. They play Alabama. I'll pick Oregon.
I feel like Oregon could win by one. I know, it's true, yeah.
Like, when they play Clemson, I'm picking Boston College.
True. So I believe that Oregon will win, but I do want Washington to win, though. So that way, if Colorado does beat them, their schedule looks better. So,
that's a big if.
It is a huge if for sure.
What happened when they met in that conference game a couple of years ago?
I don't want to talk about it. But anyway, I do have Michigan, though. I think that Wisconsin is very overrated. I think that Wisconsin is a solid team, but Michigan, like I said, is a contender for the playoff, and they know that. And they only have one bad loss. Not even a bad loss. They only have one loss to Notre Dame. So I think that they're going to take this for sure. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my upcoming. There's not many great matchups this weekend. There's a lot of games that are definitely important for teams, but they're not playing.
Yeah, there's not like that. Well, Georgia at LSU is a pretty good game, but there's no games that are like, wow, this can decide the playoff because it's still kind of early.
I mean, like I said, like I think that both LSU and Georgia, and then Oregon and Washington could definitely do that for sure. I think they both could decide playoffs.
I still think it's way too early because there's a lot of teams that can still lose.
Yeah, and then
still think.
The one I want to mention, too, that I forgot to mention was West Virginia versus Iowa State. Iowa State's actually very solid. No, they're a very solid team. They gave Iowa, who is close to being ranked and a very good team as well, a solid run for the money. I think Iowa State definitely is not the easiest defense to play against. I think that it's a good matchup for West Virginia. It's going to show how good Will Greer is and how good that whole offense is. I think that it definitely will give a better insight to are they really legit or not. So I think it's going to be a solid matchup. It's not like fantastic. I think the better matchups are going to be next week and further on from that. But this week definitely has a handful of like, wow, these are good matchups, and a bunch of other ones where it's like, oh, these teams need to win. Like Florida needs to win, but they're playing Vanderbilt, so it's like, and then same thing with Ohio State, they need to win, but they're playing Minnesota, so it's not the best week for intense matchups.
Keeping up with Iowa teams, actually, I forgot to mention this. Iowa at Indiana. Everyone's high on Iowa. I even have them in my power rankings at 25. But I don't think they have enough offense. I saw Indiana's offense versus Ohio State's defense last week. They put up a good number of points against them. They kind of got shut out at the end. But I have Indiana pulling off the upset on Iowa.
That's a shocker. I can see it being close, but I think Iowa
I think Iowa's offense just isn't enough this year. Their defense is always good. It's just their offense isn't there.
I think they're a good team, though. I think that they're more well-rounded than Indiana, though. I think they could definitely. I'd be shocked if Indiana wins that game. Not gonna lie.
I love Indiana. Like they're not that. Like Iowa's an underdog every year, and they always upset one team. Indiana maybe upsets a team once every 3 years. I think this is the year they'll upset a team.
True. I guess we'll see then. But I still have Iowa, though. All right, cool. Anything else you gotta throw in there for upcoming stuff at all?
Oh yeah, Florida State's like one of the worst teams ever. Did you see they were up 27-7 against Miami and blew the lead to lose?
Damn.
That's when you know.
Yeah.
The snake lost.
I was watching a high school football game today. It was Grayson versus Archer, and this one guy committed to Florida State, and the whole time I was like why? Of all the teams you could have picked, of all the offers you probably got, did you get no other offers, or all the other offers like not Power 5? Like you picked Florida State. Like all those teammates are going to like Nebraska or Tennessee, or like some are going to A&M, some are going to Alabama. It's like you chose Florida State. Like what did Willie Taggart say to you to convince you
all the
to play for Florida State?
Players are former sons of all stars from that school. That's why they go there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Or like he had no other offers. Like it was maybe like Florida State or like Tulane or something like that, or Florida State and like Middle Tennessee, and he was like, I gotta gotta take like whatever's the best, I guess. But yeah, but Texas A&M's gonna be great next year. They're getting every single good recruit possible. It's like the Duke version of recruiting, pretty much. What are you doing?
My brother's down here.
Oh, is Anthony there? Let's look
at. Come on, get out of here.
Are we talking
all right, so I think we're gonna call this
college. Get out. You smell like booze. Come on.
Has a really good team this year.
Come on, get out.
I love to see Boston in there.
Get out.
They haven't been great since Matt Ryan.
Come on, get out of here. Go upstairs.
Oh, great ending for the episode too. Anyway, that was the Tailgate, a product of Tailgate TV, which is obviously a huge product of Tailgate
Anthony,
Sports.
Get out of here.
Brought to you by TruEnergy. Drink TruEnergy. You can find out more about TruEnergy at our website, tailgatesportsentertainment.com. You can get yourself some, learn more about it, see what pro athletes are sponsored by them, and rave highly about it. It's right on their website, right on our website as well. And hopefully next episode we should have our own samples that I will definitely drink on camera so you guys can see my actual, like, real reaction to it to see if it's good or not. And it will be good, I guarantee it. Because if some people like it, obviously I'll like it too. Anything else, Dominic?
Nah, I'm going to go kill him now.
Alright, have fun. I'm real condolences, but okay, have fun though. Anyway, that was the Tailgate.